$1 million is that's a lot of money. So they were like, okay, let's. So to me, in my mind, they're like, okay, if we don't want to go over $1 million, who can we get in the black community that's, you know, has some type of leeway, I guess. Which I mean, to be honest, I don't really care what Lil Wayne does because it really doesn't affect me. I mean, but I guess they figured, hey, it's Lil Wayne. So they were like, hey, let's get Lil Wayne and say, hey, if you come take a picture with the president and say you like the president, we'll give you a pardon. Because I mean, yeah, you can give Lil Wayne $1 million, but if you can make gun charges disappear, that's a huge step. Same thing with Kodak Black. So I feel like number one, it's kind of like he sold a pardon, which I, I don't know how I feel about. You know what I'm saying? Like it's kind of like, ugh, the president of the United States is selling pardons, and then two, I I I, I never understood how in the black community people feel that rappers are such a big influence. You know, like me personally, I never really cared what Kanye or Jay-Z were doing. I mean, they're making music, whatever, but I don't like, maybe because I'm not that invested in hip hop. I know people who are like, hip hop heads and they know the history and they love the style and all that kind of stuff. But like me personally, I was never just like, oh man, I gotta be, for the hip hoppers. So for people to say, oh, yo, we need a hip hop artist or something like that to try to motivate the black community to, vote for us. I was just like, it's like a parlor trick, it's like played out. But I don't know, man. It's like it's very interesting, like, but both parties play it, but I just feel like uh, the the Republican Party, they're kind of like cheesy with it. The Democrats are a little bit better with it. It's just that the Republicans are just like cheesy. Like, oh, let's get a rapper and have him take a picture with us to let everybody know that we're down. I mean, it's like, but it's politics, man. It's like it's a game, and I think it's a game now to where the game is we have to, whoever party you're with has to be in power, and it's about money, it's about control. I mean, it's like, I don't know, it's like it's just tough because you have certain groups, they're like, well, if the Democrats get in, it's gonna be hell on earth, and then if Republican gets in, it's gonna be money, because it's like I don't believe in trickle down economics because it fails all the time. I think that just popped up on my feed. Interesting. Let's see. We'll take that out. Like I said, we're raw. We're raw. But I don't believe in trickle down economics. Ronald Reagan tried it, and when you try to throw in tax cuts for the wealthy and all these like real like it's kind of like giving yourself steroids. It's like steroids are like get you going, bam. You know what I mean? Like you'll be able to do whatever. Like if you're playing a sport, you'll be phenomenal. You'll have the energy, strength, the speed, whatever. But over time, it kills your body. And that's why I feel like the same thing comes from trickle down economics. Ronald Reagan tried it in the 80s, giving that, tax break and that boost. And then you saw in the late 80s, you know, we had a financial crash, and Bush did the same thing, trickle down economics, gave tax cuts, and it was great. And then, unfortunately for him, he had, the Iraq War and Afghan War, but still, he still had a crash at the end of his term. And so we saw with Clinton and Obama that how they were able to move the economy, they were able to progressively make it more robust. By the end of Clinton's term in the late 90s, we had a surplus. And then by the time Barack came in, he totally had flipped around the economy because the one that he had received from Bush was in a pretty bad state. But he was able to flip it around. And so I feel that how Trump came in and he immediately did tax cuts, tax cuts shoot, that testosterone in the economy. But like, again, we've seen the pattern where later on, like if he would have got a second term and he wouldn't have adjusted the taxes, it would have did the same thing that Reagan and Bush would have done as well. We've seen the pattern. So, I mean, it's very interesting, how people, they want to look at taxes, look at the numbers and all that kind of stuff. But let's be honest. I mean, you can give Disney all the tax rate. You can make it so that Disney pays no taxes. But if nobody goes to Disney World, nobody goes to Disneyland, and we don't go to the movies to watch their movies, and if we don't subscribe to Disney Plus, it doesn't matter how many tax cuts we give them or they pay no taxes. If we, the people, are not being involved with that company, they fail. So, like I said, when it comes to taxes, you have to find a good balance to where, yes, you're able to have low taxes, but you make it so that everybody is paying their fair share of taxes. Don't have tax loopholes, like prime example where if as a private citizen, if I give throughout the entire year to my church or to any type of organization where I'm donating charitable, donations, and when it comes time to do my taxes, the charitable donations that I have given, it only amounts to like a certain percentage you can, claim. But if you're a company and you give the same amount as, let's say, a private, for example, let's say if me and Amazon gave the same amount to a company, we both gave the same charitable amount to a company, Amazon would get a higher a tax credit than me, a private citizen. And so things like that, we really have to adjust and really look at don't just look at okay, lower taxes. Let's look into the meat of the taxes and really see what's going on in it, because that's where, people don't have to pay taxes. And it's crazy because if I'm making thousands of dollars a year and other companies are making millions and billions, and I definitely got to pay my taxes, they should definitely have to pay theirs as well. So that's, like I said, that's like a fine line, man. And again, I don't think it's like a Republican or like a Republican versus Democrat. I think it's more of just like what's good for the country and what is, we have as a country, we have a lot of obligations, and especially, the biggest thing we spend money on is our military. So, if you want to have a big military budget, you have to make sure everybody's paying, because I don't know how you do it otherwise. But tell me how you feel about it. Like I said, I really feel like everybody should be paying taxes. Just pay your fair share. That's it. If you can lower taxes and still maintain your budget, why not do it? You know what I mean? It's crazy because a new virus COVID-19 came December 19th, right? Within a year, we were able to gain information on this virus. We were able to get companies to manufacture a vaccine within a year. If we could get that motivated for the budget and taxes, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense when you think about it. 'Cause you're like, hey, we can really attack this virus for the betterment of the country, and we did it within a year. Why can't we do the same with taxes and making sure, you know, everybody pays their fair share? If we can lower them, great. But let's make sure everybody is paying their taxes. And that's where I think it comes down to not your party, because I think we're so party affiliate. Oh, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. You know, I think it comes down to the people. Who are the people that we're electing, and what are their goals? What are they really trying to do? Look and see how they live their life, because I mean, it'll tell you. I mean, I heard something today. If you really want to know what, like, who a person really is, like if you really want to know somebody, look and see how they treat people who can't do anything for them. And you really look and see how they treat people. I mean, it's just crazy. The sunshine real good. but yeah, just I mean, just I think that's what we really have to see. I mean, like, someone's character, how they hold themselves, you know what I'm saying? Like what do they stand for? Not just the standard BS, like, you know, guns, your Second Amendment, your, you know what I'm saying? Not all that BS. Don't feed me that, because I've been fed that enough and I'm tired of eating it. And, you know, and I don't, you know, and some of the things the Democrats say, like free education. I mean, it sounds good, but how do you pay for it? And how do you pay for it? And then if you have free education, it's like a double-edged sword, I feel. It's like, yeah, free education sounds good. You have more people, if more people in your nation are educated, you would think it'd be better. But if more people are educated, that means what kind of jobs are we going to get? Because it's just like, you know, like back in the day when my parents were coming up, if you had a college degree, oh man, you were good. You were golden. I mean, like, my parents are in their early 60s, so like, you know, back in the 80s, you know, if you had a college degree, you were doing really well. I mean, if you had a high school diploma, you were doing really well. So I mean, like, you could actually get jobs where you can, you know, really make good money. And yeah, you can do that now too, but it's more. I mean, you gotta find your niche in that, I feel. I mean, it's like now because, you know, it's, growing up, you get sold this notion of, hey, go to college, make something of yourself, you know. And back in the day, my mom got a 4-year degree and was able to pay for it out of pocket. I mean, my mom graduated from Mercer University, private, expensive college. Now it is. But back when she went, you were able to pay for it. It was still, you know, somewhat expensive, but you were still able to manage it and pay for it out of pocket. It's late at night. This is a Up All Night podcast. And so, yes, we will be up late at night having full discussions on some of everything. Definitely have a lot more to talk about, especially political, because I gotta get inside you guys' mind, because there's certain things like I just don't understand for certain Republicans. Like a lot of it is from the Trump side, like Trump supporters. I really want to understand certain things. So like I think like the next podcast is just going to be all on Trump supporters, so that way I can get the feedback, so that way I can try to understand like the mindset and why Trump had so many followers of the Republican Party. But like I said, we'll get into the next podcast or whatnot. But